Welcome to Not Your Mother's Housing Market, the podcast where we dissect and discuss emerging market trends because a 21st century market requires 21st century strategies. I'm your host, Gabby Graves, your local lender with Synergy One Lending, and I'm also here with my co-host,
Katie Keaton with Realty One Group Pacifica, your Southwest Washington realtor. We are so excited today. This man, I rave about him. He is my favorite. We stan. Our local home inspector, Hunter Ervin, with on-the-spot home inspections. Hello.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming.
He is our most prized guest. We've been trying to get him on for a few weeks, and most of the scheduling things
on John.
have been...
No, I'm just kidding.
Harsh on John. We love John, too. But seriously, I have been trying to figure out a time for us to talk with Hunter because home inspections are such an important part of the home buying process, and he is the go-to guy to explain all of the ins and outs to us.
Yes.
So Hunter, why don't you go ahead and give us a quick introduction to yourself, tell us a little bit about how you got into home inspections, and then kind of give us your elevator pitch. Like, in your eyes, what does a home inspector do?
Okay. So you got to have a passion for home inspection. I've been in the inspection field for just over 24 years.
Nice.
I came from the oil industry. I was a compliance environmental inspector, and I moved into doing home inspections. And it's a very lucrative career, and I enjoy the interactions with all my clients. And when I come on site, it's the same process basically that every time. I introduce myself and then explain what the process is going to be. Basically, we go through the exterior of a home, and then we go on to the roof, and then the interior, and then we end with the crawl space and the attic.
The realtor's worst nightmare, basically.
Yeah, the crawl spaces are
As a future buyer, crawl spaces scare me a lot.
Yeah, they do. I've actually seen people land on their butts. Everybody's more than welcome to come into a crawl space with me, but if you're arachnophobic, it's probably not a good place for you to go.
Yeah, which your wife is really afraid of spiders, isn't she?
Yeah,
I'm scared of the other creepy crawlers down there.
Can I tell you about a really scary interaction I had with an animal yesterday that's completely unrelated?
Depends on the animal.
My son has a bearded dragon.
Oh, okay.
And, no, you guys. Okay, so first of all, he's fine. He's whatever.
Aren't they docile?
They're docile, but he scares me. And yesterday, I was looking at him. I was sitting on my son's bed. I was helping him put away his clothes because I'm a nice mom. And the bearded dragon's tank is right next to the bed, and he comes into the corner and he's just staring me down. Well, I was thinking I'll have a nice little interaction with this bearded dragon, and I opened my mouth at him. I just went that made him mad, you guys. That made him mad. So then he was staring at me, and he had his head tilted to the side like this, and I knew it was a dominance thing, who's gonna back down first. So obviously I'm staring at him because I'm bearded dragon, I'm not afraid of you. Well, I had never seen him puff up his neck before. He fully puffed out his beard, and you guys, I hope that the bearded dragon community doesn't come after me for abuse towards my animal, because
PETA complaints all of a sudden.
But no, he puffed out his whole beard, and I'm still staring at him, and I'm yelling to my son, Carter, come in here, look at your bearded dragon's trying to eat me. And my son comes in, and the bearded dragon goes like this to me. It was so scary, you guys.
You had a full-on standoff with a bearded dragon.
I had a standoff.
That is hilarious.
I was fighting for my life yesterday with my son's bearded dragon.
Okay,
so if I found one of those in a crawl space, I would die, basically, to bring it back around. So no bearded dragons, luckily.
No, I haven't seen a bearded dragon, but I have seen a domestic ferret.
Oh.
Yes. So.
Oh, like a pet one?
Right, a pet. Yeah,
in a
space.
In a crawl space. Yep.
Was it a...
Well, I'm not sure whose it was, but the guy thought that there was somebody living in his crawl space. So he called me up there to do an inspection, and sure enough, this ferret had created a little home on the heater duct, and that's where he was camping out.
Oh my God.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So he was pretty relieved that it wasn't somebody sneaking into his house and living in his crawl space.
Yeah, he's I can deal with a ferret.
Yeah.
I'd be relieved too.
Man.
Well, I am scared of possums. Really full-on phobia, deathly scared of possums. So that's
I've seen possums in crawl spaces.
Are they
Yeah,
usually
I believe you.
possum bones?
Yes, I've seen possum bones in
I'm
crawl
okay with
spaces
that.
too.
Yeah. Okay, so getting back on topic, I promised Hunter today that I was going to stay on topic, and here we are.
It's gonna be
talking
hard.
about
This is gonna be
bearded
a
dragons.
juicy one.
It's
Okay.
okay. It's going to be good today. So, Hunter, you kind of told us about your process. Really, from my perspective as a realtor, you're usually there, depending on the size of the house, about 2.5 hours.
Yeah,
You're really
about 2.5 hours.
digging into it. You're getting up on the roof, like he said. He's checking every plug, checking, the exterior of the house. They have this little thing and they just tap around. And I'm not quite sure what you're looking for, but I know there's a lot of tapping.
Sounds. Dry wood makes a different sound than rotten wood, so that's kind of what you're looking for.
Okay.
A tell, basically.
Okay.
Yep.
Interesting.
So today we are going to talk about the importance of home inspections, and we are also going to clear up some common misconceptions. Then we're going to end with some of Gabby's questions as someone who is in the market for a new home and in the short term.
Right.
And then we'll have a little fun with Hunter at the end and hear about some of his horror stories. If a ferret living on a water heater isn't horrific enough. So that's kind of the plan for today's episode. So yeah, we're going to kick it off with some common misconceptions.
Awesome. Okay, so first question, who do you work for? As in, when you do a home inspection, who are you working for? Where do your loyalties lie in the transaction?
So the client, the purchaser, that's basically who I'm working for. As well as, the realtor, that client, that's their client too. So they're working for that client. So we're kind of, during the home inspection process, we're both working for the same individual.
Your team members.
We're team members, yeah.
Got it.
And we're just, trying to identify the things that could potentially be an issue on purchasing the perfect house, the forever home for them.
The perfect house.
Yeah.
We'll get into
The
if that
elusive
exists in a
perfect
bit.
home.
Okay, so a big one from the real estate side. I think this is honestly one of the biggest misconceptions
Yes.
in real estate in general, is that a home can fail a home inspection.
Yeah, no, it's not a pass or fail inspection. There's, you want to identify everything that is in front of you that is an issue, as well as what could be an issue in the future. So that when you're going into the process of buying a house, you at least have the knowledge and understanding of what you're getting into, because it's a big purchase. I mean, some people purchase one house for the rest of their lives, and you want to make sure that you're understanding all the systems in that house and they've all been vetted, and you do your due diligence, because all houses are different. So you're going to walk into one house that could be 60 years old, or another house that's 20 years old that has all different systems, from progression from your plumbing to your electrical, so those are the kind of things that you want to make sure that you're looking for.
Well, and all homes are different, but also all buyers are different, and everyone's risk tolerance or tolerance for defects is different.
Right.
So really, you're laying out all of the defects. And when I say all the defects, I mean everything you can find. Like this light switch, nothing happens when you flip this light switch. That's noted in the report.
Got it.
There's a little ledge, a chip in something, sticking up. That's noted in the report. And then it's really up to the buyers to decide what is their tolerance for those issues.
Right. Well, I mean, truthfully, it's how handy is the buyer? How handy are you? Can you pick up the tools and fix something? Can you? Once you buy a house, it's yours to do what you want with. If you're going to hire someone to come in and do a bunch of work for you, that's going to obviously be money out of your pocket. But if you can just pick up your own tools and do it, then that's your ability.
Yeah. And also, how good is your realtor at negotiating? How motivated is the seller to sell? What type of loan or financing are you getting? Those are all things that factor into it, but the inspection itself is not pass or fail. It's just really informational.
Absolutely.
Another big misconception is that pre-inspections are biased towards the seller, on the seller's behalf.
Yeah, I don't necessarily agree with that, because if you're
that's why it's a misconception.
Right. If you're selling a house, and you you want that person that's buying your home to know everything about it, because you know, you don't want to have, and you don't want something to come back and bite you later too that you didn't put in your disclosure.
Right.
You know, so if you have concerns about a house that you really don't know anything about, you know, doing a pre-sale inspection is I think a smart thing.
And you said,
sorry. Is
Go
your
for it,
process the
girl.
same?
It is. You know, I tend to focus a little bit more on asking the question to the individual. So what are your concerns about the house? You know,
Got it.
it's just like a warranty inspection. I do lots of warranty inspections, 1 year, 2 year warranty inspections. It's the same thing. They've been living in this house for a whole year. So what are your concerns that you want me to identify that I can dig into, and then you can bring forward to the builder? You know, so that's the same thing. They're going to bring them forward to the potential purchaser and say, hey, you know, these are the things that I know are wrong with my house, and you know, what's your level of understanding and abilities to fix it and, you know, buy the house.
so I know you said you've been doing inspections or in that realm for, 24 years. As the markets change, obviously, lately we haven't been seeing very many pre-inspections. Like, do you think that'll come back? Do you like when people do pre-inspections, or just kind of what's your general thoughts on it?
You know, I'm pretty neutral on it. I think that I think it's kind of in the whole realm of you know, a person should get an inspection on their house even if they're not going to sell it.
Okay.
You know, because there's a lot of things that people miss and don't know that's going on there, that when I come in there, I'll identify and you know, they can fix it, and it won't become a problem. I mean, some of the things that we inspect and identify, if you fix them now in the longevity, it's not going to be an issue, you know, and you can fix it right, or you could make some slight changes, or I could tell you what's wrong with the plumbing or the water lines that, you know, hey, down the line you're probably going to have issues with that, but you know, if you change it, which could be a real easy fix, you know, it might alleviate flooding out your kitchen.
Right.
You know?
And I will say, my husband hates when I talk about Hunter, because our house is only like 4 years old. It was a new build, but still all the time I'm like, Hunter would not approve of that. Or like, babe, you have got to clean the gutters, because if Hunter saw our gutters right now, he would be unwell. Or,
He's
you know,
like,
there's
this Hunter guy, I
I'm
can't
like,
take anymore.
Look at that iridescent line on the foundation wall. Like, that is it's water seeping in. So I agree that it's like, you, as a realtor, from the realtor's perspective, that deferred maintenance will kill you. Like, it will kill you. So if you are not someone who is super savvy about what are important fixes, what aren't, having an inspection every few years is not a bad idea.
Well, and like you
Absolutely.
stated, a home has many different systems. And so there's probably things that you see that are evident to you that might be problematic, that you need fixed. But there's other things inside your home, whole systems, you know, your HVAC, your electrical, your plumbing, things that need to maybe get a little maintenance or a little love as well.
Ugh, we need to service our HVAC system for sure. Now that
Well-
you said that, you're stressing me.
And I'll say one thing really quick. So being in the Pacific Northwest, the rain, and I mean, everybody, you know, doesn't check out those systems all the time. And,
Right.
and you can have water intrusion that you don't even know about. And every year, pop up in your attic just to take a look, get a good flashlight, look around. I mean, I don't know how many
Water is
inspections.
devastating.
Oh, absolutely. You know, I've gone on inspections for people for like mold and stuff. And I mean, I found 3 leaks in a guy's roof and he had no idea.
Right.
You know?
Yep.
And it's like, okay, well.
Ignorance is bliss.
And what it would do to that home over time. You know, right now you just have a leaky roof, which sounds like really bad
Right.
news. But in 5 years from now,
You
you
could be
would have a lot of other
replacing
problems.
trusses, sheathing, you know, interior insulation, tons of stuff.
Yes.
That if you caught it in time, it would prevent all that additional cost.
Which also, Hunter's always like, oh, it doesn't seem like anyone's been in this crawl space. Like, who doesn't go in their crawl space? And I'm like,
Right.
Hunter, no one goes in their crawl space at all. 0 people. So maybe that's another reason that you should have an inspection every once in a while.
Yeah, because of what we talked about
Yes.
earlier. No one wants to see possums or
Right.
Yes,
arachnids.
yes. Oh, gosh. Okay, so next one. You do not need to inspect a new build.
Yeah, that's absolutely not true. You know, everyone's makes mistakes, and things that you potentially could make a mistake on could flood out your crawl space. There's just a lot of little things that that I identify in the warranty inspections that need to be brought forward, and it's just most of them are just small little mistakes that somebody made. And the thing is you could have the best builder in the world, but that builder, he's got to use subcontractors too.
Right. I have a great example of that.
I don't know how many home inspections, new builds that I've gone and inspected, and there's just been so much blue tape, and if the general contractor doesn't come back and vet everything that's there, make sure that all the systems are working, you'll have problems with your AC unit. I just did a inspection where the fuse box for the AC unit that was put in upside down, and there was no power even to the AC unit, and so
Wow.
it was like, who doesn't inspect and make sure that that's working?
Yeah, well, Gabby
Absolutely.
just had one with a new build where it came back that there were problems with the roof.
Right. And what we believe happened is that another subcontractor during their work just made a small damage to the edge of the roof. So again, it wasn't so much that and people
builder
do
was
make
bad.
mistakes.
Right.
It wasn't that the builder was bad or anything like that, but as you have other people working on the home, little bumps and bruises happen along the way, scuffs and things like that, and it just so happened to kind of damage the roof in one area.
I will say too, that's one thing I'm always reminding people when we're going to the home inspection. I'm like, literally no house is perfect.
No.
Not even a new build. Like, you are going to have things show up on your home inspection, and that's okay. Don't freak out. There's supposed to be things on the home inspection because nothing is ever perfect.
There's not a perfect home.
Yeah.
Yes.
I've found broken cords of engineered trusses before up in the attic,
Yeah.
So,
Scary.
That's really scary.
Yeah.
Yeah, it happens.
Yeah.
Do houses have to be brought up to code? Meaning, if I were to purchase a home that was built in 1965, would it have to be brought up to today's code?
No.
And so what is the standard of that?
So it's basically, it's grandfathered, but there is certain, say you're doing renovations, there is certain codes that you have to meet if you do X amount of percentage of a renovation on a system. So like electrical, you have to bring everything up to code if you're going to like put in a new panel or run new wiring and things like that. So, and that's why, you make sure that you get a certified electrician or a certified plumber that knows all those things. So when they come in and put in new water lines, everything's, up to where it should be.
Okay.
So,
And I think that is a real common misconception because people come in and they say, okay, well, this isn't to code and this isn't to code and this isn't to code. So obviously the seller's going to have to fix all those things. And that is not true. It is, a lot of things are grandfathered in. Okay. So the next common misconception is that FHA and VA inspections are very different than conventional inspections.
there is some differences. Yes.
So this one, for the most part, I'd say there's the same, but there are a few things that you focus in on slightly more, correct?
Right,
Okay.
yes.
Would you elaborate on this for us?
Like exposed wood on the exterior of a house. That's a huge one.
Yeah.
And that's granted that's something that you should make sure any home inspection.
Even if conventional.
Right. But again, that they definitely and it's warranted. You get exposed wood on the exterior of a house here in the Pacific Northwest, and you're talking about potential rot. And,
Right.
So that's rot leads to other things, mold, and could get water intrusion in the house. So again, you stop it in the exterior and it won't get in the interior, and then you can save yourself some money.
Yeah. So typically you're pointing out the same things, but it might mean a little bit more to someone who's getting that type of loan.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's just, call them bullet point items that are required to, confirm that they're in the right condition.
Handrails?
Yes, handrails
Oh,
are a
yes.
big one.
That is a big one. You're right.
Graspable handrails, not climbable.
Graspable but not climbable.
I have not heard that.
Yeah. So, and the climbable, you just don't, for kids, and it's the whole 4-inch spacing, I mean, and that's for kids too, because kids, a larger space will put their heads through there. Don't know why, but they like to put their heads through.
You never put your head through.
I did. I was stuck. Yeah. But,
Don't know why.
Don't know why.
It's part of the human experience.
It is. Yeah, exactly.
So handrails are important, and fall protection and safety and. So we're always inspecting and making sure they're not shaky, that they're secured appropriately, and so.
Yeah. Interesting.
So I think this last misconception is another big one.
Yes. Inspectors, when they go out and for those 2.5 hours, they're going to find everything that's wrong with the home.
I wish, I try hard, but no, we're human, we make mistakes, we have oversight,
Well, and you have limitations, right? There's certain things that you don't look into.
So what are those things that, the things that you can't be quite as invasive as you would need to be to find everything?
Like hidden plumbing, things are in the wall. Everything's not exposed. All systems are not exposed.
Meaning you cannot remove a light switch and look at the wires behind?
Right. Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, there's certain things that we're not allowed to do. I mean, we've got a standard of practice, for the state of Washington that we have to follow too, that says you cannot do this, and this.
And you're really not even supposed to move furniture, are you?
Right. No, we're not supposed to. No, if we roll in and there's a crawl space hatch underneath the stairs and it's full of boxes and all kinds of storage stuff, we're really not supposed to move it.
Oh.
Yeah, if there's stuff in front of an electrical panel, we're really not supposed to move it, because once you move that stuff, you basically take ownership of it.
Right.
So, I mean, it's like,
Well, and kind
I
of
see
the
the
same
liability
thing
side.
with, rot or things like that. It's not like you're looking underneath the floors.
Right.
You can't look behind the walls. You're not cutting out a patch of, drywall to find things. So there are definitely limitations. And I think that's important for buyers to know, because the inspector is going to find everything they possibly can, but there are going to be always some hidden things that are not visible to the naked eye.
And limits of what they can look into and not look into.
Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah. So kind of speaking of that, there are the imposed limitations by the Code of Ethics for inspectors, but then there are also some things that are not included in a regular home inspection, but that maybe someone would want to add on.
Yes. Absolutely.
So what is covered?
The a la carte.
The
a la carte inspection.
a la carte option. So what is the meat and potatoes of a home inspection, and then what are those kind of a la carte add-ons?
So I guess it would be easier to say what's the a la carte add-ons.
Okay.
So sewer scopes, definitely a sewer scope, and I highly recommend them, especially if you've got you see any low flow, large trees. Yes, intrusion potential out in the yard where that outfall line goes. If the home's 50 years or older, I've gone into sewers that 18 meters in, I find a block that's 3/4 of the way around, and it's full of roots and stuff. So I mean, it's easier to get it fixed now than it is later down the line, when you don't all of a sudden your toilet quits flushing, nothing's going down it, and your sink's not going where it needs to go, and then all of a sudden you got $11,000 bill that could have been worked out before you bought the house.
For just the a la carte add-on of a sewer scope.
Yeah.
Right.
So, I mean, any environmental sampling.
So like mold,
asbestos,
lead-based paint, asbestos.
radon.
Yeah, we do radon sampling. And I do flow tests for wells and quality and quantity testing. So
and not every inspector does those, right? So if you need a good well inspector,
that's harder to find in this area, actually. So
it is hard to find. It's because it's time consuming and it's boring.
Right.
Because that's
It is. It's pretty boring.
As a realtor, except luckily I like Hunter and I like all the home inspectors I've worked with. But when you're like, okay, we have a 2-hour flow test, so like we're gonna hang out for 2 hours. And I mean, obviously I could go sit in my car, but it's nice when at least we get someone to chat with,
Right. And the other thing is so quality, which is, drinking water quality.
Right.
It takes a while, the samples take 10 business days for a turnaround. You can do a rush on it, but it's standard 10 days. So you got to manage that stuff, you got to manage when the samples are coming in and then send them to your clients. And if there's, you fail for bacteria, then there's a procedure on neutralizing your well and stuff. And there's a lot to it.
And I mean, I have been guilty of this. Like, I always try in my contracts, if there's a well, you make your well inspections much longer than the fill in the blank that comes in the contract, just on the back end. You're always trying to make that a lot longer because there's going to be a time. Time is not of the essence when you're sending it off to someone else to do the test. So I've definitely been the person that's like, Hunter, is my test back yet? Is my test back yet? Hey, has that test come back yet? Can I get that test?
I've been that person. I'm the lender that's pushing on the other side.
I had 2 calls this morning.
Is my test back yet? So I'm sure that's why people don't always love it, because with the home inspection, the great thing about Hunter and other inspectors that I've worked with, but we're talking about Hunter right now. He is awesome about getting the report back to you in a super timely manner. Like, if we're having a home inspection on a Thursday, typically we're going to have it back on a Friday and ready to roll with all the pictures, with all the classifications of, like, this is a mild problem, this is a bigger problem, this is whatever.
Yes.
And extremely detailed.
Yeah, and the thing is when I do my inspections, I always tell my clients, if they want to walk around with me, they're more than welcome to. If they want me to really dig into something that they got a question on or take a look at a little deeper, I'll do that too. And then I caveat that with you don't necessarily have to remember anything I tell you.
Right.
And I mean,
it'll all be in the
I've
report.
had some clients run around with a notebook, writing stuff down and, kind of getting all stressed out and trying to, follow everything I tell them. And I'm just like, you don't have to, because everything that I tell you will be in my report.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yeah. Because I go through, I typically will take about 350, 400 pictures on an inspection, and I go through those pictures at least 3 times, over and over and over again. And it's definitely
So he has answered our pressing common misconceptions, but now Gabby has some questions for him, just kind of from the perspective of someone who doesn't attend home inspections. I realize Hunter obviously attends a bunch, I attend a bunch, and I kind of miss some of those obvious questions because I'm so close to it. So Gabby's going to take this part away.
Well, and as a lender, we don't see the home inspection. That is not a part of the process that we're just not a part of that.
You're not privy to it.
We're not. And so, and I am not someone who's purchased multiple homes in my lifetime. So yes, I was more curious, or Katie knows some of these answers already. So can you give us 3 common repairs that you would not stress over if you found in a home inspection?
Probably plumbing. I think plumbing is pretty straightforward to get a plumber to come in there and give you a higher quality product than what's in some of the older houses. People are, it's like I have to relay that, there's a leak underneath there. You got water lines that are leaking, you got a valve that's leaking, but a good plumber is going to come in there and he's going to put a product, a newer product that's going to last way longer than the other one, and the other one probably lasted 50, 60 plus years,
Okay.
So, I think plumbing. And I think, exterior rot, people get, kind of...
Crazy?
Yeah.
Scared about that?
Yeah, and it's not that scary. I mean, you can go down to Home Depot and get a rake board or a fascia board or some soffit, inserts and really
change it out
and nail it up. And I mean, a homeowner can do that stuff all himself. Or a contractor. A little job for a handyman or a contractor, have them come in and you're better than ever.
And like Hunter always says, you can find out how to do a lot of these things on YouTube.
You can.
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah.
He's always telling me I can do things, and I was like, I don't know. And he's like, Katie, look it up on YouTube, and you can do it. I'm like, okay.
See, I'm that person that believes I can do it, and it's totally like I know I'm biting off more than I can chew, but I'm like, we can do this.
I need to have more faith in myself.
But the thing is if you're pulling it up on YouTube, the good thing about YouTube is that you have multiple people that are doing the same exact thing.
Right.
So you look and see what shoot, 5, 6 people are doing it and how they're doing it, you know, and then kind of feel your own way through it and do it for yourself. And, you know, the next thing you know, you're doing a big project on your house and it comes out and you're finished and you're like, man, you know what? I did that.
Yes.
Okay, exterior. So
exterior rot,
plumbing. What's your third?
Actually, I'm not going to lead you. I'm not asking any leading questions, so I'll let you decide for yourself.
I would say probably, you know, flooring.
Okay.
Yeah, flooring. I think that there's just it's such a dynamic thing, you know. I mean, you've got vinyl, you've got laminate, you've got tile, you know, you got hardwood. There's just so much there, and a lot of people go into a house and it's like, okay, well, I'm just going to make it my own, you know. And or you go into a house and there's like carpet that's just nastiest you've ever seen, or just ugliest.
Purple, green.
Yes.
My parents have green carpet.
Right. So it's like, you know, I just want to tear it out. I can't even deal with this. But you know what the thing is you go into a house and you change out the flooring for yourself, it's going to make that look completely different.
Right.
You know, it really will. I mean, and that's kind of like making it your own. So you come in there and you've decided that you're going to put your own flooring in, and that's your space. You know, you've kind of you know, changed it up quite a bit, and some people, they're like, oh, I just can't deal with that flooring, you know. Well, don't.
Yeah,
right.
Well, don't.
Get rid of it.
Right.
Yeah.
So true. Okay, so the 3 that he would not stress about too much are some plumbing leaks, some rot on the outside, and you know, ugly or distasteful flooring. So okay,
The opposite.
What are the 3 most concerning?
3 most concerning, I would say ventilation of your roof.
Ooh.
That one is.
And it's always wrong.
Always wrong.
It's always wrong.
It's always just wandering somewhere up in the attic. It never vents.
Yeah, the thing is I mean, our government couldn't even get it right, you know? I mean, they did all these programs to, like, make your house super tight and sealed up. But the thing is their super tight, sealed up process created mold.
Right.
You know?
Awesome.
Didn't vent those spaces that you wanted to vent, you know? I mean, and the thing is if you don't vent your roof correctly, it's the longevity of your shingles is going to go down. You know, you get a super hot, and I've been there, 142 degrees in attic spaces, 136 in attic spaces. You know, that is not good for your shingle.
Yeah.
No.
Guaranteed, that shingle's going to degrade, and you know, next thing you know, you're going to have it crack. And you're going to get water intrusion.
Okay.
You know?
Okay, so improperly vented roof.
So, 2 things: crawl spaces. You know, I mean, there's a lot going on down there. You gotta, you know, admit it.
Big CS.
I stare at his
You know?
face anytime because he does crawl spaces last.
Right.
Most inspectors do crawl spaces last.
Yeah.
And I'm like hanging out with the buyer. We're chilling. We're usually in the kitchen. We're talking about where they're going to put their furniture. We're, you know, looking at the cabinets and seeing like, okay, I can put my, you know, my garbage can here and I can do this here, whatever. And then he comes out of the crawl space. And this whole time I'm nervous, but I'm trying really hard not to let him know I'm nervous. And then I just stare at his face. And usually I can tell.
What do we got going on down there?
Is this going to be a good report or is this going to be a bad report?
Is this a ferret house or is this a flood house?
Yeah. And you know, truthfully, when I think about that when I come out of a crawl space, I try to put on a poker face, you know, because there's a lot going on under there, and I go into every area of a crawl space. You know, I am there. I am looking at the foundation. I'm looking at the seal plate. I'm looking at all the plumbing, the insulation, the floor sheathing. I mean, everything in there. I'm looking at up and down and sideways and taking pictures of it all. You know, and the posts and looking at the
So
footings.
when you're down there, the things that you would say are alarming when you find them in a crawl space is like water intrusion,
water
foundation,
intrusion,
that kind
footing
of stuff.
issues.
Yeah, more or less, you know, but again, those things can be remediated too, right? I mean, you know, to get the proper gutter system, water distribution away from the house, you know, you can eliminate a lot of that from happening. Sumps in the, you know, that are put in there. So it's it's something that's concerning, but it can be fixed.
Okay.
Okay,
But,
so water spaces
Yeah.
crawl spaces and water intrusion overall, we would
Yeah.
say are the other two on top of
And then the venting.
the venting.
Yeah, the venting. Yeah,
Okay.
for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
So now you know. What about
Yeah.
like a roof leak? Where does that fall on your concern? Meter.
It's
Yeah.
So roofs to me are something that are concerning, but can be fixed easily. You know, you can pull a roof.
Feel the same way.
You can pull the shingles off. You can pull the sheathing off. You can put new underlayment. You can put new flashing. Put new shingles, and you're good as gold. You know, but there's a system. I mean, that's a system in itself. The roof is a system. So making sure that system is put together right is super important, and that you get a good quality person that's installing it, because they want to hit all those bullet points of putting in a good system for you, because it's the longevity thing that you
Right.
want. You want a quality product that and looking.
Can you take that?
That's my wife. She'll call me back
Okay.
in a couple minutes. But,
We're sorry.
yeah.
Okay. Well, we do know that you are short on times
Yeah.
too, because he has to get to a home inspection. People, he is
I know.
working. He has
Absolutely.
got to go. But before you do, we would love to hear favorite thing about your job, least favorite thing about your job.
And we want to hear your worst horror
Horror
story.
Okay. So my favorite thing about my job is just, seeing people do due diligence on buying a home. I mean, that's super important to me, because hiring a home inspector to go in there and do the things that need to be done before you buy a home, that's what I would want to do. I mean, I would want someone to give me the same professionalism that I want to give to them. And I think that's probably the best thing about my job is just, it's important, and I try to relay it to my clients, that it's important to me to tell you everything about this house so you have an educated understanding of what you're getting ready to buy.
Inspect for others the way
Yes.
you would like to be inspected
Absolutely.
for. Okay.
Absolutely.
So what is your least favorite part?
The golden home inspection rule.
Yeah,
Right.
the golden rule of home inspections.
I guess
Bad news.
yeah,
Ferrets?
I mean,
The ferrets?
and when there's a deficiency in a home, and I know somebody really likes the house,
That's hard.
It is. When you open up an attic space and you're like, whoa,
Everything's black mold.
right, or black
We've seen that.
from
My imagination goes wild.
right. Yeah, I mean, those are the kind of things that you really, when you have to give that kind of news to people, that if they decide to move forward with a purchase of a home, they're going to have to do some additional, fixes that aren't just like change out the
Gosh,
carpet.
now my phone's ringing.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
but, yeah.
Okay, and then leave us off. I know we really do have to go, so leave us off with your craziest thing you've ever found in a house.
Yes.
Craziest thing I've ever found in a house, I guess, just bones. Truthfully, bones in the crawl space.
What kind of bones?
It's like, who knows? I mean, it's like
Do you ever call anyone?
animal bones. Mostly, I mean, I'm not going to dissect them and tell you what they are. I found cat bones.
Right. But you've never found like a big femur or something.
Not a human femur that
Okay.
I know of, but when I find stuff.
Told you my
It's kinda
imagination goes wild.
right?
I'm like, wait.
Well,
I mean,
huge spiders, I'm sure.
Oh,
Right,
gross. Yeah.
huge spiders. Yeah, and I actually was taking pictures of spiders for a while, and
To scare your wife.
His hobby.
Well, it was actually one of your clients up. I forget where we were
Ostrander?
at. Yeah,
That huge
He was
spider?
coming into the crawl space
Yes,
with me.
yes.
and
it was
I
a
looked,
really tall crawl space,
Right,
like up to
yeah.
it was like 4 feet tall.
I look
Yeah.
back and he's like 10 feet behind me on his butt, and I'm like, what's going on? He's like, you didn't see that spider? And he's shaking, and he's like, I'm arachnophobia. It was a big spider, right?
Yeah.
And I just shoot him away, and then he ended up going in there with me. But
Yeah. I do
spiders
remember
are
that, actually.
spiders are definitely.
I do remember
Yeah,
that.
a lot of-
And then just like crazy stuff where you're like, why is this door only 5 feet tall? Or like,
Right.
why is there a whole other roof line in the attic space of this house?
There is definitely a lot of those add-ons. There's cuts through the stem wall, the concrete stem walls underneath, you know, and I've had to slip through quite a few of them, put one arm through and go through thinking, you know, I'm glad I got my phone because I might have to call someone who cares.
I don't know how he gets into their crawl spaces, or honestly, the tightest squeezes, I'm like, there's no way Hunter's getting in there. And then he does, people, he does.
Yeah.
It's
I love
crazy.
this.
It's crazy.
So you could probably start a reality TV show.
Right.
Oh my gosh.
It would be so entertaining.
It would be so entertaining.
I would watch
it would
for
be so
sure.
entertaining.
It is. Yeah, one lady I had to tell her that it wasn't probably a good idea that she put her water bed in the bedroom because she had opposing cracks on the corner of her foundation. So you put all that weight and it pushes that way and it's already leaning that way. Yeah, it's probably not a good thing. You might be finding yourself flooded outside.
Yeah,
you know.
that'd be crazy.
Yeah.
That is crazy.
That would be crazy.
Wild.
Well, Hunter, thank you so much for coming. Just
Yes.
as
Thanks
a
for
side
having me.
note, for my, I just want to give him a shout out again. The one thing I really appreciate about you is that you are honest, you're open, you're working with integrity, but you also do a great job of balancing it where you're not an alarmist. You definitely come at things where it's like, I'm going to help you make the most educated decision you can make. So
Right. So that buyer, because
Absolutely.
every buyer has different risk tolerance and
Right.
maybe is a little more handy than another person. So
Yeah.
they're willing to take on more repairs.
Yeah,
So-
some people just need to put their tools away though.
I'm sure
You
see a
heard
lot
it
of
here
that.
first on Not Your Mother's Housing Market.
Put your tools away. Know when you need to keep your day job. Well, yes, Hunter Ervin with On the Spot Home Inspections. He's great. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for
Make sure
having
you
me.
check us out on social media, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram.
Like and follow on YouTube
Yes.
and Facebook.
At Not Your Mother's Housing Market. And we will be back with you again in a few weeks.
Thank you for joining.
Yes.
See you next time.